Welcome to Pathways Through the Prairie. I am your host, State Librarian Mary Soucie. We will interview North Dakota librarians and library staff, state government leaders and employees, and interesting North Dakotans. Join us as we meander down the pathways through the prairie. I am joined today by Turtle Mountain Community College Library Director, Laisee Allery. I've met Laisee once, but I'm really looking forward to our conversation today, to getting to know more about Laisee and about her library. So Laisee, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Laisee, the mission of the State Library is creating pathways to information and innovation. What was your pathway into your position as library director at the community college?
Well, I've been here for 14 years. I started as a library director in 2014 or 2010. I worked for the college since 2004 in different positions. I was working as a GED instructor, an adult ed. And the library director position was open for quite a while. So I had contacted the HR at the time here at TMCC, and he suggested I take my library credential because I have a bachelor's in elementary ed. So I took my library credential, and while I was working here, so everything was new to me when I started. I didn't know anything. It was pretty overwhelming. I was the only one here. There was one other worker in the library here, and she happened to take another job at the same time. So when I started, it was me and a work study student.
Wow.
So it was just, everything was just brand new. So it was pretty exciting, pretty overwhelming. And luckily the work study student had been here for 2 years. So she pretty much showed me the ropes.
She trained you. I love
She
that.
trained me.
That's
So
awesome.
I came in with new eyes. It was nothing. It just happened to kind of come around like that. And now I'm actually, this fall, I will be done with my master's in library and information science.
Congratulations. You were just in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
It's amazing how many people come to the library world through elementary education or some other part of the education world, because we do a lot of education in the library world as well. You've been in the library world for a long time now, but is there anything, can you remember, like when you first started or even today, that was really surprising about being in the library world?
The terms, there's a lot of technical jargon. Okay.
Yeah, acronyms. No idea. We love acronyms.
There's so many acronyms. I've never seen so many. And just to keep them straight, I was like, what is that again? Okay, what is that? And then when we started in 2010, when I started, everything was still pretty physical, based, a lot of books, the DVDs, just learning about library cataloging, databases. It was just, I just learned everything. It was just brand new. So that was one of the big things, though. I didn't know how big this world was. I didn't know that there was so many people involved and everybody has such different backgrounds. The different types of libraries. You think of a library, you just kind of think of a public library,
right,
or a school library. You don't think of the special libraries, just the differences in libraries, the different types of funding. So it was just the amount of information.
Right. And you're a college library, but you also serve as a public library.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So we are the official designated tribal library of Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, and we also serve as the academic library for the Turtle Mountain Community College.
And are there differences in serving the college versus as the tribal nation, as the tribal library?
So for the college side of it, it's, basic academic types of things, information literacy, databases, citing sources, what you typically see. Research at the college level. The tribal level, we hold a lot of documents, a lot of the tribal law documents, I'll say, are tribal government documents.
Interesting.
So sometimes if they can't find it at the tribe, they will reach out to us, and then we just copy and send them a lot of things. The public side is really interesting. Some of the things we do. That's just one of them. We worked a lot in the past with the tribal government.
Do you serve
Another
as the
thing,
archive for the tribe?
no, we don't, but we have a
Okay,
lot of archives, honestly. So
okay,
it's something maybe we might talk about in the future.
sure.
We also have a lot of historical books, materials that aren't published anymore, and a lot of genealogy books about the tribe. The Turtle Mountain Band is just, we're pretty diverse as far as our backgrounds and our tribal affiliations. So we get a lot of people, which I was really surprised when I started, a lot of people from Canada and France and England that come over and that are like on a journey to look at their genealogy and
Okay,
find their relatives and anything about their relatives. So that was really surprising. Every summer we have at least 4 or 5 people that come from Canada or France or England and visit us unexpectedly. They just show up. And so we give them the information we have, they make copies. So that's a lot of fun. And we
wow, I
work a
had no
lot with
idea
them.
that the Turtle Mountain Band went to France and England. Are there other countries as well? Or
Those are
mainly
the
Canada, those France and England?
Yes, those are the major ones. Our history, a lot of the women in our tribe married men from trappers, fur traders, things like
Okay,
that. So a lot of the people here have maybe a great grandfather, great great grandfather that was from France or from England. Those are the majority. There are
okay.
Scottish. Um, there are a lot of different backgrounds. So
And how
and a
many
lot of
states
states, as in,
in the United States is Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa spread over multiple states too? Or are you
yes.
mainly in North Dakota?
So we have there was a few different times our tribes, some of our during treaty times, during when they were doing the treaties and we were still traveling from Minnesota to Montana. Some of the people from here, from our tribe, they were relocated to White Earth, so we have a lot
Okay.
of relatives there.
And where is
Um,
that?
and that is in Minnesota,
Okay,
White Earth, Minnesota. And then we also have one of our chiefs who did not agree with the treaty and the land. He actually moved to Montana, and they have just been recently federally recognized. Some of our tribal land is down in Trenton. That is our tribe down in Trenton area. I don't know if you've heard of the Trenton Service area.
mm-mm.
They are a part of our tribe. We have a lot of relatives in Rocky Boy, Montana, um, and a lot of relatives in Canada.
Wow.
So we have a pretty diverse background. It's not just Chippewa or Anishinaabe, which means the original people. That is actually a more appropriate name for our tribe. A lot of us have Cree ancestors, and majority of those are from Canada
Okay.
and other tribes as well. I don't want to just say one specific. Like
Mhm.
I said, we're pretty diverse, and
Sure.
we're also people also say they're Michif here. We're first Chippewa, and then we're Michif as well, which means mixed, and mixed mainly Korean, French, and some Chippewa.
Okay. Sounds like your tribal history is just really fascinating.
It is.
Do,
It is.
do you get a lot of questions around that then from patrons?
Yes, luckily we have a lot of authors that wrote a lot of our historical books, like our education. Dan Jerome, he really did a lot of work here on our history. We had a group that did a short book about who we are, our tribal history. So there's a lot of people who left and come back and want to know about our history, and it's so diverse, so nuanced. So there's a lot of questions and a lot of answers, and so yeah, we do get a lot of questions about that,
Mhm.
about where we're from and certain families, and a lot of families didn't come from just one specific area. So it depends like on the family. Maybe some more came from Minnesota, some might have came more from Canada.
Okay. And do you have historical materials about that whole, like all of the Turtle Mountain band, or is it mainly the North Dakota portion of the Turtle Mountain band?
Yeah, and a lot of the information um, we have from how we traveled here, how we ended up here
Okay.
in Turtle Mountain area. We were originally Pemina, Chippewa.
Hmm.
So we were over in Pemina. And then eventually we were here, we came here. And then a lot of in our history books, it will it does give how information on how a lot of our band members either moved to Trenton or down Montana, different parts of Montana, Rocky Boy. Over by Lewistown, we have a lot of people that live over there and actually went to a workshop over there. It was a midship workshop, and there was a lot of relatives from here. So it's really, we have a lot of it, and anybody who comes in looking for that, we have a lot to share. We're pretty lucky that way.
Are most of the students at your community college members of the tribal nation?
Yes. Our enrolled members that come to the college are pretty high. We have, of course, the surrounding community, non-Indigenous that come to the college, and people, there are a few from other tribes that come to the college here as well. So, but the majority, they are enrolled here at
Okay.
Turtle Mountain.
And so then, is there overlap between being the community college library and being the tribal library? Or do you supply some of the tribal artifacts for community college support as well? Or are they pretty distinct?
We we have an archives here in the library, and that stores, it's mostly to do with the college materials.
Okay.
Like our assessments throughout the past, strategic plans.
Mm-hmm.
They've really been big on digitizing everything right now so that it takes up less space. So that is a little bit separate from what we keep for the tribe.
Okay.
The tribe pretty much keeps its own, but some of the things we have, they don't have. Just so
Okay.
happens that maybe some people who worked on committees for certain tribal government laws or voting or things like that. Some of their items, maybe we keep,
Okay.
they just happen to donate them to us.
Sure.
So that's kind of how we keep some of the tribal archives. It's not a lot, it's pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
We do get a lot of people who maybe lived here at one time, their parents lived here in the area in the county. And I like, for example, there was a woman whose parents had a store in Rolla, which is a town over.
Mm-hmm.
And she was going through their things and found some things that were made by people from Turtle Mountain. So she called me up and donated them to me.
Oh,
So
for cool.
we get a lot of donations like that. Um, Not a lot, but like every year
Mm-hmm.
there's about 2 or 3.
Okay.
So those are pretty interesting.
So what's something that's really unique in your collection that we wouldn't find in another library?
So I just started a special collections area. That special collections is dedicated entirely to the history of Turtle Mountain and the history of the Turtle Mountain Community College. A lot of the books that are in there are we created for certain things, like the American Indian Higher Education Consortium. So they have it's AHEC for short. Another acronym, I'll throw that out there. AHEC for short. So every year they have kind of like a, what is it, knowledgeable. There's like competitions against tribal colleges. So they create like critical inquiry. They'll have a question, kind of like a research paper. They
Okay.
all And so those type of things we keep here at the college in the library. So you are not going to find those anywhere else. Authors, we have any author suggestions, people that are from Turtle Mountain that wrote fiction or nonfiction, it doesn't matter. They'll be in there. So everything in that special collections is dedicated solely to the Turtle Mountain people or the Turtle Mountain Community College. And those are also separate in that collection. So you aren't going to find that anywhere else.
Sure.
And it's actually pretty extensive.
That sounds really neat. Switching gears a little bit, Laisee, what do you like to do when you're not being a librarian?
I have 5 children.
Okay,
So my youngest son is graduating high school. So most of my other time is spent going to their functions. But
sure,
if I'm not doing
absolutely.
that, I do a lot of beading, I do a lot of sewing.
Okay.
I like to travel. So those when I get the chance. Otherwise, most of my time is spent going to my children's whatever they have going
Events,
on.
sure,
Their events.
absolutely. That keeps you hopping.
It
That keeps you
does.
hopping. What's your favorite place you've traveled to?
So far, Madeline Islands, I would say.
And where's
Um,
that?
and that is in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So one of our stories is we had there are a lot of our people originated over in Madeline Islands, which is right on the shores of it's kind of south of Duluth.
Okay.
So we have a long history going back there. So it's really a cool place though. There's a lot of art. They have plays. So you get to the ferry and you go out there and there's just like a lot of cool little restaurants there. So that's
Um,
probably one of my favorite places I've visited so far.
Very fun. I love ferry rides. There's just something about being on a
It is.
ferry that's just super fun.
It is, and it's a really cool looking place. It's like all multicolored buildings and a lot of cool little
Oh,
boutiques and so it's really, really cool place to visit.
I'll have to put that one on our travel bucket list. I've been lucky. I travel fairly often for work and then some personal travel. And so I have 4 states left to visit. So
Wow.
I've been to Wisconsin many times. I grew up in Illinois, and so we used to go to the Dells, Wisconsin Dells,
Oh,
a
yes,
lot
I've been
as a
there.
family. So I love the Wisconsin Dells too. But um, what's something you hope to do with your library in the future? Any plans on your horizon?
So part of my 5-year plan, which I had just created a few years ago, and actually it was supposed to take the 5 years to do the special collection. We just happened to get it done in 2.
Nice.
So it went by
Check.
pretty quick. Yes. So we have a large amount of oral history interviews that instructors have done. So we did apply and get a grant from IMLS, Institute of Museum and Library Services, to digitize all of these.
Oh,
So
cool.
there were 1,500 interviews.
Holy buckets.
And a lot of these started in the 70s and 80s. So a lot of these elders are gone. So it's really interesting, except that we did not get permissions to put them online.
Mm,
We got these kind of after the fact, and I'm really glad that they did these. So the next step will be for us to go get the permissions if they allow us to put these online for tribal members who don't live here. Maybe it's their great 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 grandmother. Some of the elders that they interviewed in the late 80s were already 80 and 90 years old.
oh,
So
wow.
that's a lot of generation back already.
Right. And the things they lived through.
Yes, so they talk about so much history and talk about their grandparents and before the what is it, 49th parallel, the border was there. And it was just, traveling back and forth and how much it's changed traveling on wagons and the trading. And
Mm,
so there's a lot of history on there. And so one of my goals is to get the permissions to get them online and get them transcribed, which is that's a really big project. So
oh, sure. What language does your tribal nation speak?
um it's Chippewa. The correct name is like Anishinaabe, Owen. They also speak Michif, which is it's a mixture of, like I said earlier, the Michif language is a mixture of French, Korean, Ojibwe,
Hmm.
and it's one of the only couple in the world where they did this. So they
Okay.
created a new language, basically. And we have worked with a place oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of them.
That's okay.
We've worked with them. Heather Suter's her name, and she does Michif revitalization, language
Oh,
revitalization in
wow.
Canada. So we had actually had a dictionary, Mitchell Dictionary, and they transcribed it and put it online. So we did work with them on that. So we have two main languages, the main one being the Chippewa, and then the second being the Michif, or they say Métis actually in Canada. We call it Michif here.
Okay, okay. And I'm learning a little bit more about tribal nations as I talk with, with yourself. I visited the MHA Interpretive Center,
Mhm.
and their head of collections gave us a tour of the museum, and that was so fascinating. Is your tribal nation considered, were they nomadic? Would that be the right
Yes.
term? So they were nomadic as well. So they had it like a winter place and a summer place. Is that how that worked?
Yes, we mostly traveled from Woodlands, kind of like in Minnesota,
Okay,
and to Montana. There was a route they take to
okay.
follow the game, and certain times of year where they stayed in certain places, mostly by water resources, accessibility to water and things
Mhm.
like that. But yeah, yes, they were nomadic.
And that's some of what's captured, I would imagine, in the oral stories is what that life
Yes.
was like traveling. I think now, I get in my car to drive to the grocery store, and I think what must it have been like for people who not only didn't have cars, didn't even have horses or buggies, and travel, like they didn't live in one place. They moved from camp to camp, and what that, I don't think I would have made it. I don't think I would have done well living even in
I
the
don't
time
think most
period
of
of
us would.
horse and buggy. No, we're pretty soft these days
Yes.
compared to what our ancestors went through. What's something you would like people to know about your library?
Well, we offer a lot of services. So we actually do a lot of things, and I don't think we advertise that enough. I know I don't. I'm the library director, and a lot of even our community, they don't know that we're a public library. We don't advertise that quite enough. We actually offer a lot of services for free here. Copying, printing, scanning to email. So we do a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's just so many things we've done. Help people apply for their unemployment, apply for college, other places, university. We also work with the Rolla Public Library on doing different activities, co-op on a few things, because they're really the only other public library in the county. And they get a lot of use and they don't have a lot of funding. So we have a little bit bigger budget than they do. So we do help with some things, co-op with some things.
Nice. That's awesome.
And I work with them whenever they need certain things or ask, we've had actually summer activities a couple times together. So it was pretty nice. We have a lot of technology here. So we offer a lot of things like I said, the scanning, the faxing, the computers. We have 28 computers. So we actually just kind of got all new furniture after COVID.
Okay.
And that really changed the way we provide services. And I think it did to every library, really. A lot of things we push more of the online databases, using our online resources like Libby that we co-op actually with Rolla Public Library for that service. So we do a lot of different things. We have a lot of space. We have book clubs. So we offer a lot. And if we don't offer it and somebody gives us suggestions or really wants something in the community, we will offer it or we'll find a way to get it done.
Sure, absolutely. Do your book clubs focus mainly on Indigenous works or just general or both?
Both. We found that the Indigenous works are more popular. But we do provide 9 or 10 of the books for free. And then anybody else who just signs up after brings their own, or maybe they purchase it on their own, or some of them will do the library to go or the Libby app now. So that's one of the and we do it like once or twice a month. And we usually just do it from the fall to like the spring.
Sure.
Because nobody wants to be reading in a book club in the summer here. We have 3 months of summer and I'm pretty sure they want to be outside.
Right, right. What's something you would think that would be good for people to know about your tribal nation?
As in,
If
that's a
someone doesn't
hard
know anything
question.
about the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, what
Okay.
What would you like them to know, or where should they get started to learn more about
So
your
we
people?
so if you want to know more about the Turtle Mountain Band, I would suggest looking at their website, the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa. They have a website. There's some history on there. They do have history. They have numbers, like the, data, census numbers,
Mhm.
kind of description of who we are and where we're at. If you look at the Turtle Mountain Community College website, we have a book on there. It's called Who I Am, A Guide to Your Turtle Mountain Home.
Oh,
So that
cool.
kind of gives an overview of our history, our treaties, what's here, the government, the tribal government, education that's here. And it's really short, but it does give some of like what you need to know about where you're from, short answers.
Mhm.
If you want to know more information, you need more information, you want to read more, you could call us here at the Turtle Mountain Community College Library. We're more than happy to help. We have scanned, emailed a lot of different types of information, especially the books that are no longer published that were written for or by Turtle Mountain people. Those type of things, we are more than happy to scan them, and especially for specific questions, we'll send them off to the people that really want to inquire about who they are,
Mhm.
what we have to offer. So
Sure. That's a precious resource to have too.
yes.
And in some of my earlier podcast interviews, I've shied away from the what are you reading or who do you recommend? But at the end of the day, we're librarians, and that's the question we get asked the most often, right? Who's your favorite author? What's your favorite book? And I always say my one favorite, I can't recommend one favorite, but what's a book that you love, or who's your go-to author?
But that is a tough question. Right now, I'm in my master's program, so all I do is read those type of books.
Sure.
And I haven't had time to read anything else. Right now, I just read about AI. I don't know. That's a really big thing. That's all I do.
Yeah, artificial intelligence is huge right now.
Yes, it is, and there's so many different things with it. But I like dystopian. I like a lot of science fiction.
Okay.
I know I should like more of the nonfiction, but I love science fiction. I really do. And it's a whole thing when I get into science fiction. It's like certain types. Maybe it's a dystopian novel, or sometimes it's about zombies, but that's like my go-to type of reading that I really like to read
Okay.
is that genre. Like,
The zombie apocalypse.
yes.
That's funny. And I'm not a huge nonfiction reader. I go through phases. I am all about the cozy mystery. Give me a death, but don't give me a lot of details. I don't want it to be gory. Or a cozy romance, right? A nice snuggly romance. I love those. I'm kind of getting into historical fiction a lot more as well, but just because we're librarians doesn't mean we have to love nonfiction. But any final thoughts you want to share with the world, or the world that's going to listen to our podcast, which might be a small world?
The librarians.
Right.
No, this year I've worked more with the North Dakota State Library than I ever really have. I know they have a new strategic plan, and I'm really excited about the things that we're doing and some of the initiatives. I talk with Kathy Klein a lot. And so it's really exciting to start working on a different level than what we've been. I think we've kind of been separate, the tribal libraries from the state, and there hasn't been a lot of cohesion, working together, not, more not working together. So now I see, there's a lot of positive things coming out of it. So I'm really happy to see that.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. We'll make sure Kathy knows that you mentioned that as well. And we're excited about our collaboration with the tribal libraries as well. And it's really, for me personally, it's been an opportunity to learn a lot more. I had the privilege to go to ATALM, which is the Association of Tribal Archives, Libraries, and Museums. I went to their conference last year, and there were a lot of Indigenous folks who were there in their tribal colors and the tribal clothing, which is just so beautiful. I got to witness the closing ceremony was a return home of some artifacts that were from the early 1900s. There was a baby cradle and some baby moccasins, and they had done the research to identify, and there was actually family members from that family that were there to receive the artifacts on behalf of the tribal nation. And it was such an incredibly moving thing to be a part of. And I was just talking with someone recently, and I said, as a non-Indigenous person, I was moved to tears. And while I was there, I just thought, I can't imagine how incredibly moving this must be for members of that tribal nation, or just for Indigenous folks who were in the room, to witness the beauty of that. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity to get to learn more about the tribal libraries and how they serve their communities. At the end of the day, libraries are libraries, and our goal is to be the heart of our community, no matter what community we serve. And you're in a unique position that you're the heart of two communities, and you're trying to bring them together into one. So, Laisee, thanks so much for sharing time with us today and teaching us about you and about your libraries and about your tribal nation. It's been wonderful to get to learn more and to hear more. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Did you know you have access to 2 different newspaper resources with your state library or local public library card? U.S. Newsstream and News One File include access to newspapers from the region, from across the United States, and even some international papers. It includes TV and radio news transcripts as well in News One File. Some of the regional papers that are included are the Bismarck Tribune, the Fargo Forum, Grand Forks Herald, Jamestown Sun. Some of those include historical access and some include current, depending on which of the 2 resources you go into. But if you're looking for any sort of current events or historical access to newspapers, log on to News One File or US Newsstream.